Hey guys, Gaming Engineer here. So this is a race review incident highlight, if you will, and this shit's been dragging on for about 3 days now, 2-3 days. So hopefully this video will wrap everything up. What I'm gonna say is not a professional opinion, it's just what I saw, and I think V-Man touched on it in the comments when he reckons I was coaching Hamish. I'm not sure what the fuck that's about. Personally, I don't think I'm qualified enough to coach anybody. I can't even fucking coach myself. If anything, Hamish or Nismo is the reason I started doing FIA and competing semi-competitively. I've watched him race for about a year now, and this is the first incident where I've had to make a replay of him doing something dodgy. So keep in mind, he's been racing for 3 years now, and he hasn't fucked up once, as far as I know, and I've been watching for a really long time. He's the reason I got into it, so just to preface that, he's my mate, but this is an unbiased video in terms of I will call him a cunt for the incident they did at the end to V-Man. I don't agree with that, obviously, but at the same time, to me personally, holding someone up, which V-Man was, I don't know if he was doing it on purpose or not, I can't tell that. If he was, it was a shitty thing to do. If he wasn't, if he was just naturally slower, so be it. When I first started, look, I was in the position where when I first started, I was slower. Obviously, I was getting to grips with the cars and things like that. I hadn't driven online before, and I was holding people up. And I thought, hey, if I'm slower, I can make my strategy work by keeping people behind me, and then, you know, just trying to get the places. But what I ended up doing was pissing people off to a point where they dive bomb me or pit maneuver me or tap me or things that get argy-bargy, you know, elbows out and get a bit aggressive. This is, to me, this is what happens here. I've just got this replay showing just as a general, just to show you how Nismo was driving. To me personally, I personally think, as you'll see on the live stream, like V-Man touched upon, wasn't fucking coaching him. It was more so just going, what the fuck's going on here? Because this cunt's holding you up. That's all I was saying. That's all we were getting at. There was like 3 or 4 of us that were watching the stream going, holy shit, what's happening here? I raced in the Porsche, and Rugworth raced in the Porsche, and to add into context, I've included Rugworth's lines because I've watched V-Man's replay the whole race. I've watched the whole race in car, just his view. And to me, having done my race and watching Rugworth, his lines didn't make sense to me. Personally, we all have weak points on a track. This track was super tricky. Dragon's Trail Gardens Seaside 2, Gardens 2. It was a shit track. I don't like it personally. I'll be honest, I don't like it. It's really tricky, and especially in the Porsche. But what I found was with the Porsche, slow in, fast out, mid corner you shouldn't be off throttle. That's personally how I drove personally, and that's how Rugworth did it. If you watch his replay, now. After the Pentagon, the right-hander up the hill there, to be coasting through that corner, I'm not sure why you would do that. Everyone that I saw, even Mr. MCA, as V-Man referenced, was full throttle. You cut that apex because you carry more speed through it. I'm not sure. The two-stop strategy to me wasn't a good idea. That's just me personally. I think that strategy is pretty shit, because if you're going to make it work, you got to be quick, and you've got to be able to keep ahead of you've got to be starting in front of the pack, basically, but keep in front of the guys behind you, in front of the mid-pack, because once you get swallowed up and you start battling, like we see, you end up killing your tires, you end up going slower. So to me, I think the strategy was shit. I did a 3-stop, Rugworth did a 3-stop. To me, V-Man, you're the only one out of us 3, I can only compare us 3 because I've only watched us 3, that's done the 2-stop with the Porsche. I just found it killed the tires and became too unstable. That's just me personally. And Rugworth, we did a 3-stop, so it is what it is. In context of the lap times, I'm not sure if you grasp what Nismo was trying to say. I'll try and explain it. When you were on hards, he was on mediums, he was quicker. When you were on mediums, he was on softs, he was quicker. When you were on softs and he was on, I think, mediums at one point, or even hards, he wasn't quicker than you, but he was on your bumper. So again, what he was trying to say when he said he was quicker, and if you look at his lap times through the whole race, not through each tire use, but through the whole race, he was generally quicker. What he was trying to say is he was being held up. I think that's the message he was trying to get across. Maybe he didn't word it properly, I'm not sure. He's a bit of a dyslexic cunt, but I think what he was trying to say was he was being held up, and that's what I personally saw. This is why this whole thing came about. When I watched the race live, obviously I don't have a replay function with me, I'm watching it live, I'm going, what the fuck's happening here, because you're being held up. Now, I don't know if you were doing it on purpose, maybe that was part of your strategy, maybe that was your idea, I don't know, I can't explain that, but to me, personally, it felt like Nismo was being hung up, that's all. No malice, no personal judgment. I wasn't like, V-Man's a cunt because he's, a two-fingered sloth. I don't know. All I was saying was in that race, as a driver, you were holding him up. That's all I was saying. I wasn't saying you're a cunt or anything like that. So don't get it confused like this video's calling you out. It's not. It's just my 2 cents worth. Obviously, you have your QC, and your QC is going to look at it differently because he has more experience. He's more knowledgeable. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. All I'm doing is referencing my car, Rugworth's car, and your car in relation to Hamish, because we were all in the same car. Hamish was the outlier. So I don't know how to explain it any more than I personally think he was being held up by you. Personally, it's just a personal opinion, nothing more, no professionalism. But if that was the case, if you're holding someone up, just let them go, because you can always get the tow from them and you can always pull ahead. Now, when that incident happened, lap 17 I believe it was, you guys were almost caught up to 5th, 4th and 3rd. Now, 5th, 4th and 3rd were very doable. Honestly, watching you guys race, man, you guys were catching them up so quick, both of you, Hamish and yourself. So to let him go, use the slipstream, and then obviously you were on shit tires. I understand that was your strategy. That's fine. Use the tow to get by. You can be slower through the corners because you've got the tow. You can pull down the straights. Common sense. It's just what I think. Just how I would have handled it. Obviously, you had your own idea of where you were going with this race, with the 2-stop, so you had to make it work. Personally, I think the struggle comes from worn tires, especially with the Porsche. The second thing is, what I noticed with your lines, and I've got Hamish's replay going at the moment, you'll see he's pretty consistent with that after the Pentagon, that top section. What I felt with your lines personally was maybe a bit slower than even Mr. MCA said. So I know you referenced him, so you must have watched his video. He said where to cut, where not to cut. Obviously the sausage curb, first sausage curb, avoid that. But the top of the Pentagon, top of the hill, out wide, brake under the bridge. I braked under the bridge like you. So obviously 100% you're correct there. And then it's cut the apex, full throttle with a little bit of off throttle, just manage it. And then out wide to the right hand side, and then cutting the left hand apex. And that'll be a little bit of throttle control there, and then it's just full throttle the whole way out. What I saw with you was brake under the bridge, perfect, 100%, obviously that was amazing. But then it was sort of like a throttle coast business, and I've included in the replay how much speed you actually dropped. You drop about 6 to 7 Ks on Rugworth doing the exact same corner, but he followed what Mr. MCA said and what I followed, and he was at like 154, 158 or something like that, and you were about 148, 146 maybe? I've got the replay. But I think, to me personally, that speed difference is what caught Nismo out. Just personally, I'm not defending him. Believe me, what he did was a cunty move at the end. Don't get me wrong. But I think what caught him out, what was the boiling point, I guess, the crux of the whole matter, was when you were coasting through that right-hander. Obviously, you're allowed to do that, but I think it just caught him out. And he was, to him and myself and a few others, he was being held up from, I wouldn't say the start of the race, but the beginning of the race. He was being held up by other people, obviously not you. I'm not saying it's only you, but he was being held up, and he was kept making mistakes out of that first corner. I'm not blind to that. Obviously, I see it. But then for lap 10, okay, for argument's sake, lap 10, you've said in your video and in your training and in your racing etiquette, and even the posts you've made before on Facebook and the Gran Turismo page or whatever you want to call it, you leave a car's worth. Okay, personal opinion, very respectful. Leave a car's width. Me, I've been guilty of not leaving a car's width, being called out on it, and being hit, obviously. And then I go, why did that happen? And then I look back and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even leave him any room. Okay, obviously, my fault. So with yours, turn 10, you say he's at fault, but you go wide, which is fine. He's coming through on the inside line to stick his nose in. You close the door, and instead of leaving half a car's width or even a car's width, you push him onto the grass and onto the apex. So there's no car width. So to me, that's maybe going against what you say, personally, I think. Then we get down the pit straight. I can't remember what lap it is, maybe lap 9 or 11 or 13, or maybe 13. You leave a car's width. Well, when this is a non-contact sport, obviously a little bit of contact is fine, but down that pit straight, you guys didn't lose any speed, as you mentioned in your video, because that was a completely different area. Where you guys lost speed was against Pudsey, and I'll touch on that because I sort of have a different view on that. But where you said you lost speed was lap, I think 13 maybe, which is coming out of that right-hand sweep onto the main straight. There was no cars in front of you, so no one lost speed. It was just that he had to back out of it, Nismo had to back out of it because you didn't leave him any room, and he was on the grass. And then coming down the straight after the right-hand sweep at the next incident, you didn't leave a car's width down that main straight. You actually bumped him. He goes onto the sort of zebra stripe area, and that's not even the racetrack, so again, you know, you can't say he should use that as a car's width because that's not part of the racetrack. You leave about half a car's width, and then after I think about a touch and a bit, you know, when you bump him and then you sort of move right towards him again, you sort of straighten up and you guys go naturally wide apart, and that's when he gets the car's width. Now, to me, the amazing thing is, and the absolutely proper thing, you know, hats off to you, is when he's on the inside off that first double right-hander, you leave him the room because he's on the inside, and honestly, amazing, you know, that's perfect. That's what everyone should do, and that's just very respectful. So look, I'm not criticizing, I'm not saying you're a bad person or a bad driver or anything like that. All I'm touching upon is this race, nothing else, nothing more, not in general. I think you're a great guy in general because I've raced with you before and I haven't had any trouble. So to me personally, this is not a personal attack. I've never had trouble with you. This is just going off what you've said in the comments and in your video about this replay. Now the only reason I'm commenting on it is because I watched the whole thing, hence why I got involved. I watched the whole thing going, what the fuck's going on here? When I watched the replay, there was no brake testing, so obviously that's wrong. I'm not going to defend it, I'm not going to say, yeah, you brake tested him. I've got all the telemetry, there's no brake testing. So for me to say that you did, incorrect. Sorry if I insinuated that. Now watching the replay, no brake testing. 100% you have, you know, zero to answer for, of course. With the frame rate glitch, another potential brake test we thought. Obviously, I don't know how to explain it, but we don't have all information while the race is happening, and the QC will say the same thing. Unless they've got in-car footage, which they do on a live race. In this race, I wasn't specking. So if I was spectating, I would have switched cameras to look at yours and check where the brake test was, but you know, I didn't, I couldn't. So watching the replay, then I see, oh look, there's no brake test, it's just a frame rate glitch. So again, don't take it personally, please. It's just a review of the video, and this video hopefully will get passed on to the QC, your friend, and they can review it. And obviously they'll have a different opinion because they're professionals. They'll know what they're talking about. I'm just giving you my opinion. Now, we come onto the side-by-side. I just wanted to highlight Rugworth's line versus your line. That's all this is. I'm not saying you're a cunt or anything, but you missed the apex. Now, you're quite a while away from the apex. Now, look at the speed difference that you're not able to carry through. So 154, 148. Okay? So, I mean, that speed difference is quite a bit. But in terms of the overall sector, if you're slower and some guy behind you is quicker, obviously there's going to be a bit of contact. And now that's Nismo's fault. He should have expected a slower car. I just don't think he expected it that slow. That's all. I think that's the crux of it there. I think it just caught him off guard that you were coasting around that corner instead of going flat out or partial throttle. So now we get into the main incidents. There were many incidents. This video just highlights, this clip just highlights how you gained on Nismo. And Nismo, this just highlights your bad throttle control. Just by losing some traction. There's nothing to talk about. It's just me showing what happened and just giving a preface to say that these guys raced really hard, really cleanly for most of the race. 90% of this race was amazing. You guys are just absolutely perfect. Hard fought battles, mistakes, but just brilliant racing, and it shows because you caught 5th, 4th and 3rd. You wouldn't have caught them if you guys weren't quick. It's just unfortunate that someone on a different strategy was being held up, got maybe a bit frustrated, and that's what happened. That's I mean, as much as I can say, that's all that happened. Nismo goes wide on that first corner, as he's done like 3 times, and it's just braking too late, and the tires. Obviously racing hard's a shit, we all know that. But that's why I think a 3-stop was more worth it, because you had more traction. So this is Nismo letting Rugworth go. Rugworth was quicker. Now Rugworth was absolutely blindingly fast. He was the exact same as me in my race. I think he finished 2nd, I got 3rd. We both shared the same strategy. So again, I mean, yeah, the strategy worked. I hate to say it, but it just worked. The 2-stopper was not viable in terms of the Porsche eating its tires. That's just what I felt. But if you could make them last, then that was fine. Clearly, to me personally, clearly, they didn't last. Hence why you had some trouble. But again, it's just racing, man. It is what it is. It's virtual. It's fucking not even real. So who gives a shit? I only put this video together to explain my side and to say that, look, during the live race, we called some moves bullshit, you know, brake testing and stuff like that. Watching the replay, obviously not. You are not a bad racer. I'm not saying you're a bad person. So here's lap 10. You went wide, you closed the door. And that's not even a car's width. And he went on the grass and had to back out. Now, I don't know if you think that's nice, though. I mean, again, there's no car width there. You went wide, you made the mistake. In F1, you wouldn't be able to close the door that much. You still have to leave room. That's the way I base it off F1. You didn't leave any room. If that went to the stewards, as your QC guy will say, there may be investigation, you know, potential penalty or whatever. Here's the frame rate glitch. Nothing more than a glitch. Nothing more. Absolutely nothing more. No telemetry says any brake testing or anything like that. So, you know, it is what it is. Here's Hamish getting the tow. Unfortunately, again, as you've pointed out, V-Man, he misses his braking point and he goes wide. Nothing wrong with that. No dive bombing. Here's the lap with Budsy. Now you guys raced super clean. That was amazing. You say you pulled out to pass him, but to me personally, you were at least a car's length away, car and a half length away. You were never making a pass on him because you ran out of the tow. You pulled out too soon. That move, if we're being honest, was only to block Hamish. That's the way I see it. You said you pulled out to pass Budsy. I don't know where you were going to pass him. Maybe by plowing straight into him. But there was no pass there. Let's be honest, you moved out to block him because he had a run on you. He had the tow and he had a run. But here's where the crux of it is. You gave him the space when he was on the inside, so that's amazing. Honestly, I'm not picking on you, I'm not saying anything. Here's the, I don't see a car's width there. There's a bit of contact, you've run him wide into the zebra stripe, whatever you want to call it. And I think that was a bit rude to me personally. Now, all these things, keep in mind, all these things are slowing him down. He's trying to get past, he's quicker. And this is adding to the frustration. So you move across, and look, if we're being fair, you're only allowed 1 move. That was 2, actually 3, to be honest. You're allowed 1 move and then 1 move into the braking zone, as I've just always been taught. Obviously, targets and stuff are different. I saw your trophies. That's all different. This, I guess, to me, this is where the anger was coming from. Now, here's the incident itself. No brake testing. Keep an eye on your braking meter. There it is. And then just, well, no throttle, but a little bit of throttle. Now, the second, when you go off the throttle is when Hamish hit you. He didn't hit you the first time. He braked. He slammed on the brakes the first time because you were heavy on the brakes. That's fine. That's perfect. Here is where I think he didn't expect the slow car, basically, and pick up the penalty, because I don't think he intended to hit you. Obviously, he didn't. I don't think he went into that corner thinking, I'm going to hit him. But it is what it is. And here's the cunty move. This is where even I don't agree. I know he was frustrated, but I was like, what the fuck? I think it's wrong. You know, you shouldn't exact revenge like that because it's ruined two people's races. But look at it from the other point of view. He's absolutely livid at this point. He's been held up. I don't know, call it what you want, but I think he was held up. And I know it caught you by surprise. It caught me by surprise until he told me what he was doing, which is fair play. It's just not ideal. So that's what I think. It's a personal opinion, obviously, but if that's the race that you're going to run, maybe try not to hold people up. That's just personally what I think. Obviously, I'm not correct. I'm not a professional. It's just what I think. But I look forward to your QC having a look at it. I look forward to your opinion. Obviously, I hope you do have something to say about it, because I'm probably wrong. And I'd love Nismo or Hamish to get involved as well, because this can be wrapped up. This is a very simple situation to just be like, fuck it, you guys learn your lesson and move on. But if you want to drag it out, then I hope you two maybe just speak about it politely and just finish it off, because it's dragged on for a little while now, and let's just close the chapter and move on. You both are solid racers, absolutely brilliant racers, and this is very uncharacteristic from both of you. So let's not dwell on the past. Let's just take it as a lesson. I learned my lessons. You can watch my streams. I take a lot of lessons because I'm a shit driver, but let's just take it on the chin and be like, hey, fuck it, it happened. We were both cunts, and just move on. That's just what I think. And this is not a call out, V-Man. I swear and say shit like this. This is just how I fucking talk. You can check all my other replays. It is what it is. I'm sorry, it's nothing personal. You know, if I could be more polite, I would probably not try, but whatever, who gives a fuck? It's an online race. Look at it, wear it, and move on. Thanks, guys.